Khan, should we start?
Yes, I think so. Maybe we can just wait up to 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, let's wait for 1 more minute. I think Ishan might join, so. All right, so I think we are good to start. We are about 29 folks in the meeting. So, hello everyone, welcome to PipeCD's first newcomers meeting. PipeCD is a CNCF sandbox project. We follow the CNCF code of conduct, and this meeting is for everyone who wants to contribute to PipeCD, who is learning about PipeCD or just heard about PipeCD. And in this meeting, we'll be walking you through the contribution flow, the introduction of PipeCD, and we will be giving the repo tour as well. And we have the creator and also the core maintainer of PipeCD, Khan, with us. So we will be going through the code as well, and he'll be sharing his insights and the knowledge he has. We just got Ishan as well. Ishan is also a core maintainer of PipeCD. Yeah, so I have shared the agenda documents link in the meeting. You can uh, you can put your attendance, you can put your name there. If you have any queries, feel free to add it. And I think we are good to start. All right. So the first topic of the agenda is basically introduction. And to start with, PipeCD is a CNCF sandbox project. We are a GitOps-based delivery tool, and we have been in the CNCF ecosystem from the year 2023. If you ever heard of Argo CD or Flux CD, we essentially are the same thing, but we are not just limited to Kubernetes. We also deploy your applications on ECS, Terraform, GCP, or any platform for that matter. We handle the CD there. I would like to hand over the mic to Ishan now. Ishan, please go ahead.
Hi everyone, how is it going? We have 30, almost around 35 people joining in the meeting. That's absolutely fabulous. Thank you everyone for joining. I was a little late, but I really want to thank Rahul and I think there's this new community called Foss Connected or something similar. I think they also helped quite a bit with the outreach. So thank you, Foss Connected and Rahul. So yeah, welcome everyone. It's great to have you all here, and we're thrilled that you are excited to contribute to PipeCD. And if you're, let's say, new to the CNCF ecosystem, we are excited that you're new and ready to contribute. If you've already contributed to open source and you want to get into PipeCD, again, you're all welcome. So we know that we have a much diverse audience in the meeting today. So we have new contributors as well. We have some experienced folks, working in the corporate ecosystem for almost about 3 or 4 years, and you who want to get into open source. We also have some great people. I think I'm not sure, but I think Rajni has joined. A lot of people might know her, Rajni Kunde, or she's going to join or something like that. But yes, so we are really excited to have you here. If anyone, obviously there are 34 people, so we can't do introductions for every single one of them. I was expecting that if you would have 10 or 15 people, you would actually get to talk to the 10 or 15 people and give them a chance to introduce themselves. But maybe in one of the later community newcomers meetings. So yeah, let's where were we? We were talking about the agenda, right? I still have to load the agenda. I just joined. Sorry for that. But yeah, if you could help me with the link to the agenda, I would quickly. Oh yeah, I have it. All right, so is that the newcomers meeting agenda? Cool. So first of all, I think Rahul has already told you, but if you haven't already, please do write your names in the attendees list so that we know who attended, and we could just get a sense of how this meeting is going so far. And once you're done with writing your name, make sure to join the CNCF Slack channel and the CNCF Slack basically, and the PipeCD channel. So hashtag PipeCD. That's where all the community discussions and open issues and all of those discussions go on. And that's basically same for any other CNCF project, right? So unless and until it's not a big enough CNCF project, all CNCF projects kind of have a channel under the CNCF Slack. If you do not have entry to the CNCF Slack yet, there is an automatic invite system that you have to you just have to visit. I think it's invite.cncf.slack or something like that. Just put in your email and you'll get an invite on your email once that's done. So that's how you get into Slack. I am assuming Slack is familiar with everyone, but if you're not, Slack is just Discord, or it's just like a more of an official WhatsApp for official conversations, where you get like a lot of channels which are distributed according to the topic that goes on the channel. So that's Slack. So those are all the prerequisites. I believe Rahul has already covered them, but I missed a couple of meetings, so just making sure everything is done and dusted. Cool. So yeah, we can get straight into the agenda and starting with the first, topic. I think most of you might be excited about it, the LFX mentorship. PipeCD would be participating in the LFX mentorship term 3, which is, I believe, will be starting in August. So we'll be having minimum one project, but we could also have two. I think mostly it'll be two, but I don't want you to assume that it'll be two. Right now, one of them is confirmed, but yeah, so Pipe City would be participating in LFX Term 3, and that's about it. So make sure that you join the channel, stay updated, and participate in things like good first issues, which would typically open up before the mentorship term in a large quantity. So yeah. Next is all right. I think people are adding. Okay, so people are adding questions, and oh, nice, cool, 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 great. So with the introduction, I think that's already done, and I think it's a good time now to kind of look at what PipeCity does, how the repository structure looks like, and what everything, how everything fits together, right? So great. By the way, I don't know if it is true, but we have other maintainers in the meeting as well. We have Kang, who goes by the name KHANH Kang, if you're there, you can just, say a hi or something.
Yeah, hi. I think okay, yes, it's me. I'm
You are
here. So good to see you out here, and I really appreciate we have a lot of newcomer. I never thought that we can make some kind of opportunity like that to make easier for the newcomer to contributing to Actually, we get a lot of can I say attention from the community recently, and I did not manage to have enough resource for everything. And Ethan and Rahul, and we have here, I think,
right.
Asimo. Everyone have a lot in the community. So it's not just like I know everything about the project. I know a part of the project, and mostly the part that I don't know, I know who that I should asking for. So basically, everyone knows something and not know something. That's why we have the community. So if anyone have question or something, just raise a hand and asking on the Slack or on the documentation, or ping Ethan, Rahul, or asking, open up thing on GitHub or anything else that you think that
Yeah.
you can find the maintainer. That's gonna be really, really nice. Thank you.
Yeah. So that was Kang. His name is pronounced as Kang. He's one of the maintainers. He's also one of the initiators at Cyber Agent. He works at Cyber Agent, who started the project PipeCD as an alternative to Orgo and Flux in the CD space. So yeah, we'll be looking at what PipeCD does anyway soon. But yeah, that was Kang. We have some long-standing community contributors as well. We have Rahul, we have Ayush. They've been in the community for a while. You know, Rahul is our LFX term 2 mentee. For this term, he's performing very prolifically. So I think uh, a round of, I mean, just a mention for these as well. We have, I believe, I don't know, but the attendee list kind of gets big, but we have other maintainers in the team as well. We have Mohammed, we have Viva to know, basically contributors from across the globe, who have recently become a repository approvers and maintainers. So you'll meet them in the community as you kind of join the community and get to know what people are there and what all happens. But I think that was all about the introduction. Now we can get into the repository tour. So what I'll be doing is I'll be sharing my screen so that we can quickly get a gist of what. Okay.
Just a side note, Ishan, I'm recording the meeting, so yeah.
Yeah, perfect. That should be. Oops. Okay, I know what that is. Yeah. So that is the PipeCD GitHub repository. Everything we do here is open source as any other project in the CNCF ecosystem. PipeCD, in the most simplest terms, is basically a tool that helps you do continuous delivery and continuous deployment efficiently. There are a lot of other tools, but I also know that there are people in the meeting that may not have even heard about what continuous deployment or continuous delivery is, right? So it's essentially a way to deliver and deploy your software to your environments. So for example, if you have a food delivery app and if you want to roll, some update, just like let's say you want to add a new payment method, you just uh, have to roll this update, and you can't just stop, let's say, that food delivery app for 10 minutes for people and then update your food delivery app and then bring it back up again. That's not how things work in production environments and real life environments. So what we do is you basically roll the update, and there are a lot of nuances that go into it, right? How many people you want to roll it to, 10%, 20%, and then eventually scale it to 100% of the users. How do you want to push it? When do you want to push it? So that's essentially what a CD tool helps you do. It's continuous delivery, continuous deployment, basically a way to publish new updates to your software, or just publish your software to users, or in the cloud native ecosystem. More often than not, it's your Kubernetes clusters or your environments, right? Just AWS or even the Google Cloud. So that's what CD is. It's another CD tool. Few of the established CD tools in the CNCF ecosystem include the likes of Argo CD and Flux. These are the two other CD tools that help you do continuous delivery and deployment. Also, one of the few matured CNCF projects in the ecosystem. So I'll try to cover as much things as possible in the next hour to tell you how these tools are different and what purpose each tool serves and how PipeCD is different. But let's just start with the repository overview. So the first one, as you can see, is PipeCD. That's the heart of the project. That's where most of the logic of how PipeCD works, how PipeCD is documented, and even the blogs and even the website, everything kind of lives here. So if I was a newcomer, what I would do is to any repository, not just PipeCD, I would just first go to the README. You can either click the link or just scroll down, which will automatically load up the README and just go through the README, which would make you understand quite a deal about PipeCD because now AI has come in and it has made learning new technologies a lot easier than before, especially in the CNCF ecosystem, because it's not going to take your jobs or anything, AI, if you're like into DevOps or cloud, but it's going to make your work a lot more easier. So, okay, I assume I'm still in the meeting, just like a quick check. Okay, perfect. So yeah, it's not going to take, as I said, it's not going to take a job or anything. It's going to make your work easier, your day-to-day tasks easier. So you can obviously, I encourage everyone to kind of, I know there are a lot of terms that might sound new to you, for example, GitOps or, consistent deployments, operations experience, right? So I encourage that if something is unclear, you can just try reading the README to get a better gist of what the project does on a deeper level. I obviously am going to tell you what it is, but yeah, don't feel shy to kind of uh, tinker with the README and put it, parse it through some agent or something of that sorts. But anyway, uh, PipeCD is like a GitOps style tool, which means that it treats Git repositories as a single source of truth for the continuous delivery or deployments that it does. What that means is essentially, there are a lot of other CD tools in the market that, you can configure your pipelines to be like, okay, my package is ready. Now, what you can do is you can kind of take this package and push it to the deployment, and that's where non-GitOps style workflows come in. But GitOps basically means it's just Git is like a single source of truth, and all of your files would eventually be stored in Git, and all the updates would go through Git. So more of like once your PR gets merged into the Git repository, that's when the update kind of rolls out. So yeah, I do encourage you to check the README out. Also, once you're done with the README, go to the contributing.md and just have a look. In the contributing and MD file, MD is basically a markdown file. It's just a way to write text files in the software engineering space. But yeah, it's just a text file for most of the part. If you go to the contributing.md and if you scroll down, you would find a lot of things that would help you start contributing to PipeCD. Now, I don't want to go through the contributing ID, but because that would just be reading a file, I would give you tips to kind of get started, which I know for the last almost 2 years. So yeah, but if you want to get a deeper idea of how things work, how we merge pull requests, how we kind of work as a community, where do you find resources, how do you set up your local development environment, you can just obviously go to the contributing MD and have a read. So these are the two files that I recommend any new contributor starting at any new repository to kind of have a look at, because these are the files that if you read with some patience and with some concentration, they would help you a lot. Cool. So these are the two files, and now let's come to the actual repository, which is basically the meats and balls of the repository, which is the code and the docs. So starting with the docs first, the doc it's basically as simple as it looks. The docs directory is where all the documentation lives. Now, if you might be wondering where the documentation kind of lives, because an obvious initial thought is that, well, the documentation is also stored on GitHub, which is not a wrong, practice holistically, because a lot of projects still do it. But for us, docs basically refers to this website, which is pipecd.dev. It also serves as our website for the project, as well as the documentation for different versions that come out. So that's the website, gives you a gist of what pipecd is in much more detail. If you click on documentation, that's what the documentation is. And if you make, say, let's say later down the line, if you successfully make a change in this directory, then it would be eventually reflecting on this website. So just to quickly take you through the documentation website, we currently are in a state of migrating to V1. So earlier, when the project started, when any project starts according to the versioning conventions, it starts with 0.0 or 0.0 and 0.1, and then eventually, that's how the project has matured over the last 3 years. And right now, the latest version we have is 0.57, and we are also making a major migration towards V1, which is some subtle changes to the project, which will help our people who are using PipeCD in their production use PipeCD in a much more easier way. I would talk about the differences in between both of them. But for now, what you need to understand is that the major work that we are putting in is towards the 0.57. Let's say 35 or 40% of what we are focusing is on 0.57, and the rest of the 50 or 60% go to V1, which is a new way of running PipeCD in your environment, which I'll talk about. So yeah, and it's obvious that because the versions are different, the documentation is also going to be different for both of these versions quite a little. So just to give you a gist, if you go to 5.7, that's what your documentation looks like. So you might have things like examples here, which if you go to V1, might not find examples here. So there is quite a lot of structural change to how the documentation is structured because the concepts somewhere or the other are kind of different. All right, so that's the documentation website. Let's get back to the repository. All of the changes that you make are going to be in the content slash n. So what that basically means in production repositories is that this is a documentation site. Content is basically where the content is, and n is basically English. So if we were some company backed by a lot of funds, we would be hiring translators to make it for a lot of other languages as well. For example, from C or Spanish or other languages. So then you would kind of navigate to content slash FR or content slash ES, which is Espanol. All right. But right now we have documentation only in English. If you go to, if you scroll down a little, you would find 0.57 and the V1 documentation. So if you go to 0.57, that's basically the upper level sections, which you can see right here for 0.57, and everything else should pretty much be straightforward from this point on. So as you can see, there is overview here and then there's overview here. So the reason that overview is kind of not on the top is because GitHub and any other IDE, let's say VS Code, orders according to the alphabetical order. That is why concepts comes up on the top. But if you go to the file, that's how we fix it. So it's basically the weight of this file is 1, so it'll always appear on top. So that's the only technical part in this markdown file. Otherwise, everything is just plain English. I mean, there is a certain way that you write markdown files, which is basically using sections, using hashtags, and if you want bullet points, that's going to be using the hyphens. But that should be easy for you to pick up, especially as I said, using if tools like Claude or ChatGPT. So yeah, Markdown is a pretty easy language, and I'm sure that you would be able to pick it up by reading, let's say, one article or two or watching a YouTube video. So it's for the most of the part plain English. So the first step that I would suggest is if you want to contribute to documentation or documentation is something that you want to focus on, you can use the existing documentation to learn things about the project. And once you understand some things, you can obviously contribute to the documentation. But documentation is such a sweet part to contribute because you don't need to have a lot of knowledge about the project. So for example, you can fix some things like any grammatical mistakes or spelling mistakes or something like that. That's usually the first contribution every other contributor I've seen make. So I think you should not be shy, and it's okay if you make such simple contributions, because that will just, give you this instant gratification of your PR being merged, and then you can obviously dive in deep into the project as things go, because that eventually happens if you stick to it and join the community and kind of be active. But yeah, docs is the easiest way if you want to get started. You can just review existing docs. I believe we have quite a lot of issues open on GitHub which focus on docs as well. Again, Rahul, as a major part of his internship, is working on documentation, so you can get in touch with him regarding the latest issues or whatever needs to be fixed. So that's the documentation in a very brief way. Now, if we go back to the repository again, hack is basically a section where you have some scripts for a lot of things. So we have a script to update the copyright. So that's basically, if you go and see this, it should technically mention a year. Interesting. Um, oh, interesting. So technically, if you see any other website, it kind of says copyright at the rate 2026 or something similar. So that's basically a script to, oops, sorry. That's basically a script to keep updating the copyright. Same is with, gen release docs. So there's another script if you want to make a new version in the documentation. So for example, if tomorrow there's a V 1.1 that comes out, I'm obviously not going to copy and paste every single file from the V1 directory and kind of move it to V 1.1. What I would instead be doing is just running one of the scripts which says gen release docs, which would automatically create this drop down of V 1.1, which would copy all the files as is from V 1.0. So yeah, these are some scripts that basically help you to contribute and kind of make changes that are realistically large. So that's what the hack repository is all about. You can have a deep look at it, and you can, you know, play around some of these scripts and try running them in your local development environment to see what they do. And also, if you don't understand anything, as I said, at this stage, AI is your best friend. And, the community is going to be helpful as well. But, you know, things that you genuinely cannot understand through AI are the best things that you can put in the community channel and ask people, because the process kind of takes time, because you'll have to wait for someone to kind of answer it and then take it from there on. So yeah, so that was about the hack repository. The examples, I would not kind of go into the detail, because the example repository doesn't exist for the V1 release. It is just for the V0. It's basically some examples of how you can run PipeCD in different environments, let's say Cloud Run, ECS, Kubernetes, and now we have the multi-cluster because one of our LFX mentees worked on it. So the example directory is what I would leave out for now, but yeah, definitely something to be talked about in one of the later community meetings, or let's say a newcomers meeting. But yeah, that was about the major directories. There's also a quick start directory, which basically has the manifests for our quick start. So if you go to the documentation and if you go to quick start, you could see that to just get started with PipeCD quickly and understand how it works, there's basically some commands here. And if you see this command, I know a lot of people are new and might not understand what these commands are, but what this command does is basically there's this file living somewhere on the internet, and it just kind of copies it and applies it using kubectl, which is like a tool to manage. It's basically an API, CLI for your Kubernetes cluster, kubectl. So it kind of pulls that files and these files and applies them. And these files obviously should be living in the project repository itself, and that's where they live under quick start. So if you can see, it pulls the control plane. Yeah, it pulls the control plane.yaml, and that file kind of lives in the quick start directory. So that's how it is. We also have, for most of the parts, README files for every directory. So if you don't understand something about that particular directory, we also have like a README file. So you can obviously have a look at them, because the README file is meant to be for GitHub, and the documentation is kind of, as I said, it lives in the docs, right? So sometimes the README can also be something that you can refer to, because we are only humans. We might have missed a thing or two to put on the main documentation website. So you might find something that would help you that will exist in the README but might not exist in the documentation website. Cool, cool, cool. Great. We are going good so far. For people who are into open source licenses and who understand a little bit open source licenses, you can look at the license file. That's basically where a license lives. PipeCD is governed and owned and licensed under the Apache 2.0 license, which basically is a very permissive license, but just a couple of limitations here and there. Would not go into the details of open source licensing, but yeah, definitely worth having a look if you are into licenses. There's the maintainers file, again, a markdown file which lists all the maintainers and the purpose they serve. So if you go into the maintainers at MD, you can find people here. So and their GitHubs and emails. So it's basically a simple file that lists maintainers. And there's also a maintainers or JSON file that's basically a JSON file for the same thing. So yeah, great. So that's about some things to help you get started. There's also a releases.md which will talk about releases of the project. So which will talk about how we version our releases. You can have a look if you're interested in it, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory, that you know 0 point and 1 point that I talked about. Great. So that was some overview of the documentation website and the documentation repository, the hack repository, the quick start, as well as we can also talk about the .github repository. That basically, it's basically all the GitHub workflows that run within the repository. So things like an issue template, how should it look like, bug report. So just to give you maybe, so what bug report this file does is basically, if you want to kind of open up a new issue in the PipeCD repository, and if you go to new issue and if you click on bug report, so the way that this is generated is basically through this bug report.markdown file, which basically, you know, runs automatically when you click on the bug report button. So it's all about things that happen within the repository and the UI. So basically, if you open up a new issue, or if you open up a new PR, things like that. Same with the workflow. So if you open up a pull request, what workflows are to be run, what CI is to be run. CI is basically like continuous integration. So basically tests that run to make sure that your PR is safe to be merged. So all of these things you can find on the workflows and the issue templates and the issue templates. So whatever kind of happens, whatever you see happening in on GitHub is basically largely because of this directory here. Great. All right, and just a last, okay, I think I'll leave CMD for Kang to be covered. I covered examples, I covered hack, I covered, okay, so I think this is the Docker file for, hmm, not been updated. Cool, let's not focus on this. So yeah, I covered most of the parts that can largely help you get started with the project. So things like documentation, things which are easy. If you are into GitHub workflows, which a lot of people surprisingly are, even new contributors. Even I was surprised when in fact, Ayush, one of our contributors who has been in the project for long, started, I think one of his first issues that he tackled was like a GitHub workflow. So I was surprised that people are into GitHub workflows, even newcomers. So if that's something that you can work, suggest ideas or work on the existing ones that we have. The documentation website is a great one to start. As I said, we need a lot of work with the V1 documentation because as I said, it's incomplete. We still have to add a lot of sections. So help there is appreciated as well. But yeah, that was about like a brief overview, and now we'll be kind of moving into the technical parts, which is most of the code in for PipeCD and the logic is written in Go. I I would kind of leave it to Kang to explain you how and how the code is structured and how pipectl, our command line tool works and all of that. So Kang, if you're there, you can just start with an overview, kind of a brief overview of how the code works, so that people aware what.
Yeah, I think I can wrap with that one. I to be honest, I not really think that if I talk a lot about the internal things, it's gonna be like for the newcomer. Can I get the share screen? Um, wait a minute, wait a minute. Okay. So I think that if I talk a lot about the internal things at once, maybe it's too much at the same time. So you may get like um, dizzy or something and hard to follow. So I just want to give just a higher level of what and where to find the code. And if you actually think that you interest in which part of the project, then you can digging in after. Then that could be like the thing I want to do right now. So
Yeah,
go back to the file CD dev.
Kang.
We have
Uh,
yes,
yeah, I
yes,
think it's a great just kind of give a brief of things, kind of go into the detail of anything specific, because we would want to talk about things like how to get started contributing, some tips and tricks. So I think it's absolutely fine to cover it in, let's say, 5 or 6 minutes.
yes. Okay, so I think if you look at the PASI documentation already, you may um, face with this page in the first side, and it's actually the thing that happening in PipeCD as well. So the PipeCD is construct of two main components, the control plane and the PipeD. When we're talking about the PipeD, maybe we sometimes we refer it as an agent, the 5D agent. It's not anything related to the AI agent or anything. It's just like we have a process that running somewhere that managing the deployment of the application, and we name it the 5D agent. The D name, I think that time we name it 5D because it's make us think about daemon with basically the process that running internally under the hood. So we have the control plane and we have the PipeCD here. And reflect to that one, the PipeCD is the typical Go project. So basically you can have an entry point in CMD and you can look at this one. When I'm talking about the control plane, it's mean in the code is the PipeCD. Why when I'm talking about PipeD agent is named for PipeD. You can see here we have one more directory named PipeD v1, which basically the v1 of the PipeCD. Maybe you can hear somewhere about PipeCD v1. And to be clear, the current latest version of PipeCD is 0. Something I think is 57, and the PipeDB one is refer to the new architecture of the PipeD. from the at V0, every platform that we support, like Kubernetes, Valorant, ECF, everything, the code base that handle the different kind of the deployment, everything is intact in the PipeCD code base. And it's hard for many things, like it's hard to make support for different kind of the deployment. So in V1, the main thing different is we make every supporting platform to be the plugin of the PipeCD. The PipeCD remain only maintaining the core logic of the agent, while every platform specific handling will be handled by the plugin. So you can have something like this one. Wait a minute. I think we have what I think we have something here. Yeah, it's here. So basically, you can image the pipe DV1 and this. When we mention about pipe DV1, it's just like this one, and everything, every platform specific code at, will be a plugin, will be a separate binary, and is connect uh, with pipe through a gRPC code. So that is the high level of the PipeCD architecture. Go back to the code base. Just like I said, we seeing here the PipeCD basically is when we in the code base when I mentioned about PipeCD, it means that is to mention about the control plane. I know it's the name is a little bit changed. I think we will work on that renaming the directory later. But yeah, basically it's like that. We have the pipe that I'm talking about, the pipe one that I'm talking about, and we have here is the pipe CTL. We you can look at this here as well. Is the CLI command that you can use to interact with the pipe CD via command line. Is pipe CTL do something like you can you can register for application, you can trigger the deployment, everything that can be done via the UI of the PipeCD. You can do it via the PipeCDL as well. And we have one more thing here. We name launcher. The launcher is the one of the feature of PipeCD. When I when we talking about um, this launcher is mean that wait a minute, I will show you what it is. Yeah, this is about this feature. We have a feature named remote upgrade and remote config for PipeD. So why do we have this one? Um, from our user, we have a lot of complaint about they install the PipeD somewhere in their cluster, and to update the pipe they need to log into that cluster. They need to use their credential for logging in, then do like ham upgrade, or if you use anything else, you have to manually update the container image or something. That all require the direct access to the cluster, and sometimes it's quite hard as the developer if they not the platform engineer, but it's only the developer that using the pipe. So we have this feature that have the developer who only working on the PipeCD website, I mean on the PipeCD control plane UI, they can update the PipeD configuration and the PipeD version via the UI of the PipeCD control plane. The magic be done by this launcher. It's basically like only a process that pulling for what is the expected version of job pipeline that running in job cluster, and is finding out that you want to upgrade or downgrade the pipeline version. Is when restart the current running pipe binary, and make sure that the restarted binary is the right version that you want to make use of. So that's everything here. The hello world is just the dummy go up. You don't need to care about this one. So task is oh, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, the PipeD and PipeDB1 is the about the same thing. So we have four thing about PipeCD that you should know about. And this as the Go application is just the entry point. You can see it here. This is the entry point. Every internal code, just like a simple Go application, the code base is under PKZ and app directory. And you can see here we have everything you see in one piece one relation. So we have here the pipe D and the pipe DV1. Oh, is yes, pipe D and pipe DV1 is the exact code of that pipe D and pipe DV1 and the pipe CTM as well. If you a little bit think that where is the easiest place to understand the code of PyC, the easiest place to reading around, then the PyCTL, I can say that is the easiest place that you can reading around in PyCD code base. So you can check it out. It's here under PKZ app and PipeCDL. So what is op? Uh, Beside the launcher is the launcher as well. And beside of that, you see we have op, we have server. What is op and server? So if you finding out here in the control plane internal, you will see this picture. I think we have this picture in the concept page as well, right? Oh, not yet. So maybe we should add this picture
Yeah,
to this concept page
yeah,
as well. So the control plane of the pipe CD is construct of some internal component as well. So basically, we have server. You can think of it as an API that handle the UI, the request from the pipe CD control plane UI. We have op that basically do batch job like frequency pooling for frequency um, frequency cleaning up the event in the pipe CD system. I will talking about even later, but I think you may see it in the concept as well. And we have cache, which basically is just ready cache to have the API performance better. We have here two more things: data store and file store. Um, Speaking of, I think every we have search feature here as well. So basically, in control plane, we have data store and file store. We have data store is something you can think about like MySQL or file store of GCP is the place that we use to store the data model. While the file store is the S3 or GCS or anything like Minio, something like that. We use the file store to store data like the log of the deployment stage. If you not yet if you not yet have any idea about PipeCD UI, you can definitely check out the play.pipecd.dev. I think there's a documentation mentioned about this site already. Everyone can log into this play.pipecd.dev with the view permission. So you can just log in with your GitHub, and you can see what do we have, clicking around, seeing what it is and what it is. So when I'm talking about the deployment log, I mean this one. So this thing will be stored in the file storage, or the graph of the liver state of your application as well. This graph data is stored in the file store as well. So that is the overview of the control plane architecture. And go back to the code. You see here the server and the op, right? The cache is just the Redis cache. Is nothing special. The difference in color is pointing out that we recommend to use data store and file store as a managed service. Like if you install the PipeCD control plane in AWS, you should you should configure the control plane to use the data store um, as the Azure I think it's Azure, right? Azure or MySQL as the managed service of AWS. Or for file store, you should use S3. And the blue one is the thing that can be down and is the container. So that is different in color. This one is managed service, while this tree is the volleyball component that can be down and starting up again. So that is a different in color. So we have here the auth and the server. You see, when you click to the server, you see thing, and the most important, the starting point, entry point is gRPC API. You see here we have API.go, we have gRPC API.go, we have web API, and we have PipeCD API. Sorry, forget about gRPC API. This is the sharing is the sharing rate. We have
Yeah,
API,
and just,
PipeCD API, and
sorry,
API.
Kang, just a thing to
Yeah.
add that a lot of people might not know gRPC is. So if you're wondering what gRPC is, it's just another kind of an API. So if you've heard about REST, well, gRPC also.
Sorry, I cannot hear you.
I said, um, sorry, I'm so sorry. I was saying that a lot of people might not be familiar with what gRPC exactly is. So if you're wondering what gRPC is, it's just another type of
Yeah,
API which
yeah.
is
Okay,
used to,
okay. I see, I see.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think um I think yeah. Go back to this concept page. So basically in PipeCD, the connection between this PipeD agent and the control plane, we do it over gRPC. We do not use the REST API. We do not use the RESTful API. Or the same with the connection between the PipeD and is plugged in. I think. Oh my God, where is it? Yeah, this one. No, not
Yeah,
this
I think, I
one.
mean, it's okay if we kind of skip some parts
Yes.
because a lot of people might not kind of be
Yeah.
used to
Yep.
gRPC.
Yeah.
And also,
So,
I mean,
so
I think
I
what's important in this part is kind of knowing what the control plane and the pipe D agent does. So
yeah, yeah,
you, yeah,
yeah.
and then we can
I
move on to the questions.
yes, I will talk a little bit more about this one. It's almost done for the control plane. So just wait a minute. So So if you're not yet familiar with the gRPC, then it's recommend to reading around with the gRPC, because in the cloud native community, the gRPC is widely used, and you should know about that. So okay, so what is what and where is to read? Then I recommend to check out the service directory under the server. So if you know about gRPC, this is the place that you check for any gRPC service. So we have three. We have API, we have PipeCD, we have web. That the name saying out loud that what it is. The API is for the PipeCTL, which basically containing all the entry point that handle the request from the CLI. It can be PipeCTL, but it also can be Terraform as well. I mean, when I'm talking about Terraform, we have the Terraform module that help you to use Terraform command to interact with the PipeCD control plane. So the request from the CLI, the client like that, everything is listed up under this API.service. The second one, the 5D service, is the entry point that handle the request from the
हाँ भैया
5D. When you look at this architecture, this all about this
त्यांचा कॉल
connection
केला
from
होता
the 5D
त्यांनी
to the
तिकडून
control plane. Everything
केला
being listed under this
ठीक
one.
आहे
And the last one, the web service. Like I said, 5CD
चार्जेस
not
आहेत का
using REST API, but we use gRPC. So even
स्पीकर्स ठेवून
this
बोल
UI, to connect from this UI to the control plane, we use gRPC as well. So
आमचं
every
टायमिंग 3 ते 4 होतं
request
मला
that
वाटलं नंतर येणार
being
आहे
triggered from here is go through this
अच्छा अच्छा
service. So you can just like, if
आणि
you
माझी
not yet
मीटिंग
know
होती
about,
त्याच्यामुळे slow.
I can show you right away. You can see here the gRPC. The good thing about gRPC is it's quite easy to read. You can see here we have a register pipe3, we have a register pipe3 request, which show you what is the request of the
10-12च येते
register pipe3 that need to be passing, and what is the response as well. So everything is quite
आणि
documenting
इथं त्या
itself.
रूम मध्ये
You
स्लीप
can
करतो
reading here to understand about what is the entry points. So that is everything that I want to talking about the server, the control plane. Second, I think I could talk a little bit about the 5D. I mean the agent. You can go to the PKC app 5D. Every code of the 5D agent
ठीक आहे
is stored
हा
here.
ठीक आहे
Of
15
course, the
पर्यंत
same
यायले
thing with the 5D V1. So
चालेल माझी
basically, the 5D and the
अंकित
5D V1 has a lot of things uh, sharing in common. The only different things is the code that handle platform specific is not intact directly inside the 5D code base, but it's separate to the separated module. So to make it easier, I think you should read from the 5D, and it's a typical Go application as well. So the entry point gotta be like go to CMD, go to 5D.go, and this is the entry point of the uh, 5D binary, the 5D agent. So when you look at this component architecture, you see here we have the outbound only request, that the 5D when pulling from the control plane to get to know what it should do next, what it should do next. This the outbound only request. And we when you read when you read in when you read the 5D agent code base, you will find the interval. That is the thing I'm talking about here. So the most important thing to know here is that the PipeCD is pooling model. It's always pull the control plane, like what I do next, what I do next, what I do next. That is the core idea of the connection between the PipeCD and the control plane. Why do we do that? Because in use case of the PipeCD, the control plane do not know where you place your PipeCD agent. The PipeCD agent can living privately inside your cluster, inside the developer team cluster. The control plane, which is managed by the platform team, the platform team do not need to know about the private cluster of the developer teams. The only thing connecting between the PipeCD and the control plane is that one time when the PipeCD being registered to the control plane, it will get the key and an ID. And every time the PipeCD want to know something, is want to like what I do next is when request to the control plane with its ID and the token with its ID and with its key, and it's go with the thing that being managed, being controlled by the control plane. So that is the thing about the 5D pooling only model. And one more thing I want to talk in here is when you look at this model, every platform specific code, every deployment executing code you see will be handled by the PipeCD. That is the point. So when you look at the PipeCD directory, you will know how it interact with the different platform, how it trigger the new deployment, how it handle error, how it handle the log, how it handle the notifying you on Slack or anything. You can check it mostly here is quite name. The name is clear enough to know, and the good way to do is just read from the entry point from this CMD 5D, and you will find everything you need. Yeah, I think that gotta be like uh, everything I want to share. Oh, maybe just one a little bit more. That is the pipe V1. What difference between the V1 and V0? That is this one, the plugin. So for the V0, everything you see here is intact in the same code base, but for the V1, um, the plugin being separated. When you build the pipe D binary, it's no more intact this kind of code base anymore. Like we have separated binary for Kubernetes specific code is being here. Everything's specific code base for the ECS plugin is everything is here. You can check it out. Sure, the entry point will be main.go, and we have config, we have live state, everything else. So that is the difference. Yep, I think that's quite what I think I can say right now. Yep.
Yeah, I think for now, I think that should be enough to give a gist of how we structure things. But yeah, I think it was a long talk. Thank you, Kang, for that. Apart from that, if you think that there is something that you need to revisit, you can obviously watch the recording that Rahul would be putting on YouTube, I suppose, Rahul, with the Pipe CD channel.
Yeah,
So yeah, you can obviously watch the recording forward or even seek where you want to and just revisit the parts that you need. Apart from this, there's one more thing that I mean, since Cam, you're sharing the screen, you can talk about the community plugins repository as well and the other repositories that we have
Yeah.
because we kind of drifted Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the whole point of this was the repository
yes,
overview, right?
yes, yes. That's cool. That's cool. Um, I just remember one more thing. It's about I'm talking about we use gRPC to connect between the PipeD and the plugins as well. Then where is the gRPC definition? The interface between the PipeD and the plugin. It's all here. It's under PKG plugin. This one. Root PKG and then plugin. We have here the API, then we have the definition of what is the interface between the PipeD and the plugin, how the PipeD uh, asking the plugin managing uh, to managing the deployment or trigger the deployment, to executing the deployment. Everything is here. I mean, every API is under this plugin directory. And you see here is the SDK. This one is the important place as well. So when you're working with the PipeD plugin, you is commonly to think that okay, I need to build some kind of plugin for job pipeline agent, but how can I start working with that one? Do I need to build everything from starting, or do I have some or any boilerplate to base on, and from that I can make my plugin for pipeline. The whole point of making the pipeline plugin is to make the supporting for the new coming plugin easier. Up to now for pipeline v0 we only support 5 different platforms. It's Kubernetes, ECS, Lambda, Cloud Run, and Terraform. But it's not just like that. We have Azure Function. We have something like Docker. We have a lot of different ones. So to make it easier to support other kind of platform as well is the whole point of the plugin. And it's not just like that. The plugin can be very, very funny when you look at a deployment like this. You see that it's just a state, right? And the state is anything. I mean, if you have the for pipe DV1, if your pipe D have config uh, have config drive plugin, then it can use any state that being supported by plugin. That's the interesting idea here. So with the with the SDK, you can make a thing like that. PipeCD's plugin. Wait a minute. I think yeah, this one. We have here is the community plugins. So if you remember what I'm showing you previously under PKG app 5DV1 plugin, you see here is the thing we call the official plugin of the PipeDB1. That the plugin is um, being maintained by the maintainer team. We have the Cloud Run, ECS, Kubernetes, Terraform, of course. Not yet have the Lambda, but yeah, we are waiting for contribution for Lambda. It's maybe some kind of Linux Foundation term 3 or next year term 1 or whenever. So this plugin that being listed here is called the official plugin of the PipeCD. Why we have the directory name community plugin that containing all the plugin that being maintained by the community as well, by the auto contributor or anyone that think they have an idea of a cool plugin that will that they want to contribute to the community. So when I'm talking about the stage, the deployment stage can be anything that I'm thinking about this one. You can see here we have some interesting idea about plugin. We have Ansible plugin, we have Azure function. I think this one is already running. We have OpenTofu plugin and SQL Dev plugin as well. This one is working. This one I'm not sure about this stage. And for the thing I'm talking about, I'm thinking of the example stage plugin. We only do some funny things like it's will printing to this state log like hello something that all that is the plugin that can be called as the plugin of the pipe CD as well. So you can image the pipe as a pipeline management but specific for the deployment, specific for CD. And you can use many different blocks, many different plugins to build up your pipeline. That is the whole point of this one. I think we have here maybe looking more
Yeah.
interesting when we have pipeline. Yeah, that is everything about community plugin
Yep.
and where to check.
Yeah. Again, thanks a lot, Kang. That was the overview of the community plugins. So if you're wondering what plugins are basically a thing in the V1 version that we talked about. So it's nothing related to V0. So when you kind of first learn what PipeCD is, and then you understand the differences between V0 and V1, that is when you would want to dive into what plugins are, because they are holistically a part of V1 and not V0. So again, as Kang said, there are two types of plugins that we have kind of distinguished. It's the official plugins and the community plugins. But again, PipeCD itself is in like an open source community, so all the plugins are kind of the same. It's just that official plugins are kind of the ones that are given more priority and maintained more often than the community plugins might be, because they are often kind of an individual contributions per se. So that was about the community plugins. Since you're on the screen, if you can go to the repository, our org link for GitHub. Yeah, let me just check if we missed any other repository that we would want to talk about. So there is also an examples repository which would be a help to you. So these are all the examples that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think this the simple things is linked directly with this play.pyc.dev. When you click in
yeah.
here, you see is from this one. Yep.
Yeah, so all the sample deployments on play.pipecd.dev are basically from the examples repository. I can share the screen if you want, Kang, for a minute, and then
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can take some
sure, sure.
questions.
Yeah, sure, sure.
All right, so I'll quickly share the screen and go to just having a look at the contributing.md file. Great. So there is an examples repository. So these are the pinned repositories, but we also have, oh, by the way, we also have like an MCP server for our documentation. So if you're into AI and MCP, you can kind of use the MCP server and use the agent that you want and kind of get up to date information directly from the docs. So that's like a cool thing that we built as well. Great. So yeah, we put an AI now. The video on YouTube is gonna blow up. Never mind. Jokes aside, we have the examples repository. As I said, I can't see it. Okay, yeah. So we have this examples repository where you kind of get these files for different deployments that you would want to try out. But that's again when you understand what PipeCD is. So I think Kang took you on a deep technical tour, but just to make things simple and end the whole technical part, PipeCD is basically just two files. You once everything is set up, so you go to the contributing file, you do the local setup, you have the control plane setup. What you do is you kind of run the piped binary. So in your case, you will be hosting it from your own system. So once you run that binary, you will also need like Kubernetes clusters. We recommend using kind through Docker. So once you have Docker set up, Docker running, kind running, you would kind of run the piped binary. The piped is up. Then you have your Git repository, which you would want to sync. And then there's a control plane. Now, if you're doing a local and development environment, you would be also hosting the control plane on a different port. Everything is in detail available in the contributing.md file. Maybe in the next community meeting or so, we can do like a setup or something of that sort. Or Rahul would be uploading a video soon on how you can in detail set up PipeCD and start working. But yeah, once the control plane is up, once the pipe D is up, those are basically the two components of pipe D. Just to sum it up, if you want to take a look at how the control plane looks like without doing the local development, setting it up, you can go to play.pipecd.dev as Cam showed. The project name would be play, and then you can log in using your GitHub, and then you can see how the control plane works and how it looks like. So that's basically like a dashboard for your deployments where you can see all your deployments happening. So that's what PipeD is. The recording of this meeting would be on YouTube. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the PipeCD channel. We have a channel on YouTube. Great. So yep. That was about Pipe D. Again, the examples repository you can check when you kind of get deeper into the project. Apart from that, I don't think there's any repository that's worth talking about in the newcomers meeting. But obviously, if you see something that is interesting to you and if you want to know more about it, the best way to get more information is to join the community, put in a message saying that, hey, so and so, it seems interesting. I need more information on this, and someone would definitely be happy to help you out. We have a lot of active community members in the community right now, so yeah, do join the CNCF Slack, the PipeCD channel. That's where you can get your questions answered. We don't have any forum or anything of that sort. We do have a GitHub discussions page, but again, not very active as of now. So the best way you can get your questions answered is basically the PipeCD channel. So that was about the whole picture of how PipeCD works. Now, I know we might have, so it's our first newcomers meeting as well, and we might have misordered something. So again, if you felt that something was supposed to come before something, we really apologize because this was our first time doing the newcomers meeting. But you can watch the recording and kind of make things make sense. Um, and we'd obviously be doing this one more time. This was not the definitely not the last one. So yeah, you can join the next newcomer meeting as well if you still think that you need one more newcomers meeting. But ideally, what we are planning is that once you attend one or two newcomers meeting, you would be sorted, and you can kind of get started contributing to the project. So yeah, that was what I wanted to talk about. But we I think have 10 minutes or so, and we have a lot of questions piling up on the doc. I don't know if my doc is updated, but if you haven't already, please feel free to add your questions to the doc, and I'll try to answer as much questions as possible. So yeah, I think I answered the question in the start of the meeting. I didn't know that the topics and questions were like questions, but is PipeCD there for term three? Yes, PipeCD is there for LFX term three. We'll be having mostly two projects, but for sure one. We have a lot of hand raised as well, and I'll be coming to that in a moment. But just let me answer some very obvious questions, which are like, okay, I think there's no one word questions here, so we probably take questions from the audience, I think. So Sumit has been raising hand for quite a while. So Sumit, if you want, please.
Yeah, so I don't have like any question. Brief introduction about myself. That is, I am serving as a member of Kubernetes and maintaining the headlamp plugins, and also serving as a LFX mentee for integrating K-meshing to headlamp. So I wanna ask if the PipeCD wants to like bringing its observability into the headlamp, then I am very happy to help you guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
we
pretty
should
cool.
definitely.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, we
pretty
should
cool.
definitely
Just
talk about that.
I think the only problem here is that I'm not yet fully understand what gonna be like thing when you making that UI available for PipeCD on the Kubernetes UI via GitLab. So please just like I think you sending me once right on the Slack. I'm not sure. I get a lot of DM at the same time, so maybe I noted that, but I forgot to answer. So please sending it over the Slack again on the public channel on
Okay.
via here. So if I'm not remember about that, maybe Ethan or Rahul can remind me about that one because I have a lot of things at the same time, so I cannot remember everything to answer right away.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Sumit, we should definitely have a chat on how we can make that work.
Yeah,
I thought you had
Yeah,
a
yeah,
question of something of that sort.
yeah. But
But
that idea is cool. I really like that.
yeah. We
yeah,
can have that. Like every plugin is integrating inside the headlamp. Like so, we can easily. I
yeah,
will
yeah, yeah.
sending along with the message on your public channel. That's fine.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Moving on to some questions then. Um,
I
well,
think I think I raised my hand right after, so maybe it's valid to call
oh
my.
yeah, of course. Please,
I what I want to mentioning here is when asking about where is the place to contributing beside of the documentation, of course, is recommend to actually running the IC on the local and actually using that, so you will get the idea of what it is and how it is. And when you're actually using that one for your use case, you will definitely seeing the problem. I say for sure we have a lot of problem. That's why when people talking about okay, where is the place I can contributing to? The answer is sorry, I did not know. But the fact is we have a lot of place. I only know the place I'm working on, but we have a lot of place that having problem. Like I think I mentioned on one of the community meeting that we have the PipeCDL, the client command that can be interacted with the PipeC control plane is way outdated. I mean, I realize that because some of the flap, some of the thing that we already supporting via the UI, but we not yet supporting on the 5CTL. So that is the outdated plate. That easy to code as well. And when you're working with that one, you understand how to interact with the 5C control plane. You can have the visual of what is what easily, and it's not require you to have a lot of GitOps knowledge to get starting because it's just like you have a application, you have an CLI, and you try to connect between. So you can learn about gRPC, you can learn about PipeCD, you can know a lot of things while you're working on that. So it's a good place to start. So I always recommend to actually using that, and from there you can find the place to working on. I'm sorry for sure. Yeah.
great. That obviously makes a lot more sense now. So just like a TLDR summary, set up the project first. I was just answering some questions on the doc as well because I thought we were kind of running out of time. So there was this question which said that I already set up the repository locally. I was going through the code base. Now, is it advised to look at good first issues or kind of find my own issues? What I would suggest is, there are a lot of issues that might not be documented yet, or there might not be an issue open for it yet. So the best thing that I would say is just set the local development setup up. Just set how, I mean, just run the documentation first, see how it runs, make some changes, and then those changes will reflect on the documentation website. Once you're sorted with that, what you can do is you can host the control plane, the PipeD locally, and see everything on your local system, then make some change, and then that will reflect. And then you can kind of make a link between, okay, this setup and this change kind of reflects in this way. And once you have the knowledge of that, then what you can do is practice doing deployments. Once you start doing some deployments on your own, write a simple Kubernetes application and just create a new GitHub repository, put it on there, and put up an application configuration file there and try doing some deployments. And that's when you'll be able to kind of understand how everything works. And once you kind of practice 2 or 3 deployments, you would definitely find a lot of issues along the way. You would also understand quite a chunk of the documentation, what it means. And something that you would find, okay, well, you find something that, after going through a lot of stuff, you find something and you say that, okay, well, this is not in the documentation, and there's a good way that I could add it. So that's a way that you can find new issues and things to contribute to. Otherwise, what I could do is, after the newcomers meeting, me and the other members can work on tagging some issues as good first issues, so that everyone in this meeting can kind of have a fair chance to look at issues that we need help with, so we can get that done as well. So again, but uh, if you want to address an issue, the best way I think is just to set up everything locally, try deployments, ask questions, be active in the community, and then eventually you will find your way through the contributor ladder. Do we have a contributor ladder yet, Rahul?
No, it is in the pipeline. I think we should do it over the weekend. You and I can
Yeah,
work on it.
that makes a lot more sense. So, a lot more things that will be coming in the coming weeks to follow is basically a detailed how to set up Pipe3 locally video. Then there'll also be a contributor ladder, which will kind of in detail explain how you can progress through the community as first a member, then a contributor, and then maintainership and all of that. So yeah, we have a lot more things coming. There will also be a video on the whole repository overview, but in a video again done by Rahul. So stay tuned for that on the YouTube channel. We are also active quite a lot on LinkedIn and Twitter, so you can follow us there and get some updates from there as well. Apart from that, let's just quickly take some questions. We are already at the 2:30 mark, but there are some questions that I think are good to be answered. Are there any plugins which you would like to see developed? There are a lot of plugins that we want to see to be developed. For example, we want a GCP plugin, and we are planning. I mean, it's almost finalized that it'll be a part of the LFX Storm 3. So you'll be developing a GCP Google GCP, the Google Cloud GCP plugin for the as part of the LFX Storm 3. So that's one of the plugin that we want to be developed, and there are, I believe, a lot more plugins. Your ideas are welcome, as well as you can talk to some maintainers, and they can help you finalize which plugin you want to develop or whatever. But Kang has a hand raised on plugins because that's something that's very interesting to him. So
I
yeah.
think, yeah, I think Huang is already answered that question on the chat. He has pretty much idea here, like notification plugin,
Oh
HTTP check
yeah.
plugin, static site deployment plugin. Can we mention it as Netlify or something? The Docker Compose plugin, a lot of things,
Yeah.
and even
Yeah. Yeah.
small things that's just for your testing, like example stage plugin that I mentioned previously. You can starting small like that. And the good point of starting small is you can testing the SDK as well. And while you testing the SDK, you know that a lot of place in the SDK that you can contributing to also. That's what I can say.
Yeah. Absolutely. I get this interesting question. If someone is a fresher with only a basic understanding of Python and wants to start contributing to open source, what programming languages, tools, frameworks, and concepts you would recommend they focus on learning? That's a you know broad question, and it can have an array of answers. But if you would want to start in the or focus on the CNCF ecosystem, some very non-negotiable things that I would recommend is get your hands on terminal CI, CLI. the Linux kernel, the Linux terminal. Start learning about Kubernetes because Kubernetes is the basis of whatever is happening in the CNCF ecosystem. That's not necessarily true for PipeCD. We have maintainers who are not so good at Kubernetes but are excellent at Terraform because that's the problem that PipeCD is solving. But again, if you would CNCF as a space in general, I think it's always better to get your hands dirty with Kubernetes and its adjacent technologies like Helm and even customized and things like that. So you kind of have an understanding of how things go. Even gRPC, because that's the de facto standard protocol for all the on conversations that go service to service and all of that. So even gRPC for that matter, and Go programming language because that's something that almost I believe more than 70% of the tools in the CNCF ecosystem are based on. So Go, and then once you do these basic stuff, I think once you focus on the basic stuff and improve it, then you can obviously uh, you automatically start to kind of get the new stuff because it's not that hard because it's based on something primitive, and once you master the basics, then it's easy for you to master everything that is based on top of it. If apply for GSOC and LFX mentorship next year, what skills and technologies and roadmap you would suggest to maximize chances of being selected? As I said, again, focus on the basics that I just talked about, the Linux terminal, the Linux kernel, how it works, cron jobs and all of that, the Go language and Kubernetes. So I think that would answer this question as well. How to manage college while learning new technologies, contributing open source. That's very personal. Uh, During my days, I did not attend college. If you would want to go that way, you can. I don't suggest doing that, but yeah, it's just something you gotta do what you gotta do. So yeah, maybe come back from college, do what you gotta do. I don't have any. I mean, I would rather not give my opinion on that question. Do people without prior internship get selected? Yes, people do. I think a lot of our mentees, the mentee that we selected last term, do not have any experience with any prior internships. So as long as you're consistent in the community and you contribute, and we see you contribute, and you are doing some quality work, there are good chances that you can get selected. Yes, and I've also answered some questions on the doc itself because we were running out of time. We are already 5 minutes over time, I believe. But I think it was a great first newcomers meeting that we did. I know there are a couple of things that went slightly wrong in our case as well, and we are obviously going to improve it in the newcomers meeting that are going to follow. Maybe the next month or in the next 2 weeks, maybe we would post whatever it is on the schedule. I mean, on LinkedIn, whatever the schedule is. But it was great to see a lot of people join. I can see a lot of familiar names in the attendee list, people from university and people from LinkedIn, people I know, I've heard about. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining. I think before we end the meeting, there's someone who raised a hand, but again, it's gone now. So um, yeah, I mean, yeah, feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions regarding LiveCD, the project, or something that you didn't understand or something that we did not cover. Now is the time you can ask your questions. And if there's something that's related to PipeCD, for example, integrating new tools, plugins, you can obviously put them on the community channel. But yeah, now is the time. If no one has any questions, what we can do is we can quickly everyone who is attending and everyone who is actively watching the meeting, we can quickly turn on our cameras and take a photo because it's a turnout that we expected. Not now, but after the questions are done, Rahul will take a photo and then we can make a post on LinkedIn. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, now is the time. You can just ask any questions. So yeah, open to questions for now. And if anyone doesn't have any questions, we can just get a photo and then we will see you in the next meeting. We also have a community meeting that happens every 2 weeks, every Wednesday. So yeah, make sure you join that community meeting where we talk about what things we are developing and working on. And obviously, there'll be another newcomer meeting that'll be happening. But I think if no one has any questions, because I can't see them in the chat as well, we can take a photo, Rahul, and then we can end the meeting.
Perfect. So everyone, please switch on your cameras if you're comfortable, and let's do a cheese. Oh, my bad. Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And please don't be concerned. We will have a lot of these meetings in the coming times, and you can hop in. Also, please join our Slack channel. I know some of your questions might be unanswered. You can ask them freely in the Slack channel. Thank you,
Sounds good.
everyone. Yeah. Thank you, Ishan,
Great.
so
I'll
much
see you
for
in the next
hosting
newcomers
as well.
meeting. Yep.
Yep. Bye bye.
I'll see you around in the community, everyone, in the next newcomers meeting and in the community development meeting as well. So yeah, see you everyone around.
Bye bye.
Bye.